Hey, what's up, Sumolings? I'm Christy with AppSumo, and thank you for joining us today. Today we have Craig, who is the founder of Sociamonials. Craig, welcome.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Awesome. We already have people saying hello, good morning, good evening. You guys, we have Sumolings from all over the world watching you today, so
good morning.
A little bit of pressure, I don't know. So guys, if you aren't familiar with Sociamonials, it helps you optimize your campaigns and increase your ROI with important social media analytics and automation. It allows you to schedule your posts and run your own giveaways and contests. And then in just a second, Craig is going to take you through a demo and a walkthrough of the software. But in the meantime, let me tell you a little bit about how this webinar is going to work. Right now, you see the both of us. In a second, I'm going to shut my camera down. Craig's going to take over and take you through a demo. If at any point you have a question about the software or the team or the company or the deal, go ahead and put that in the chat box. And we have Mona from Sociamonials who will be answering your questions in the chat box. But also at the end of the webinar, I'm going to come back on and ask Craig live some of your questions that I've seen come through, most frequently asked questions, the most popular questions. So that'll happen at the end of the webinar. If you can't stay until the end, we anticipate this is going to last anywhere from 30 minutes to an hour, depending on how many questions you have. I will be sending out a replay of this webinar later today. So that way, if you're coming in late, you can catch up on what you missed, or if you just want to go back and relearn what you already saw, you can do that too. So Craig, why don't you go ahead and see if let's just make sure your screen sharing works. And once we get that up, I'll let you take it away.
Sounds good. How does it look?
There we go. Yes, we see a vortex of all of us. Awesome. So I'm going to shut my camera down and you're free to take it away. Good luck.
Good, thank you. And yes, first of all, thank you to you, Christy, the entire AppSumo team. You guys have been amazing. This is like more than I hoped for sure. And the community has been fantastic. Lots of feedback. It's like drinking from a fire hose. But all positive, really. This has been a learning experience, but just so happy to be here and so happy to be sharing Sociamonials with all of you. I'm going to jump right in and kind of show you the heart of like what Sociamonials is all about, kind of the why of why use Sociamonials here. So this is one of the many reports that we offer, and there's unlimited reports with Sociamonials. A lot of people ask, like, why are all of these different tools built into one? You know, why do you need why can't we just use a separate tool for, the referral sweepstakes, a separate tool for the refer a friend campaigns, a separate one for your photo contests, and a separate one for social media publishing, and a separate one for share buttons. All of these things, there are APIs that kind of connect these things and integrations that connect them together, but that's really, it's just a very light handshake connection. And when you have it all in one platform, it really helps us gather a 360-degree view of your visitors and your users and your social followers. So I'm going to show you my favorite report, and this kind of pulls together all of the different pieces of data that we are pulling together from all of your campaigns, your share buttons, your, every single social post you do on every single network. We're watching and monitoring everything, as well as what happens when people click through. And that's where a lot of the tools fall short, is you want to know real business metrics. You don't, some of you work for people. Some of you are solopreneurs. If you work for somebody, they're going to want to know, how much money did I make this quarter? They don't necessarily want to know, I got you, 67 shares or 32 engagements. They really want to know the metrics that matter to your bottom line. Things like revenue, lead gen, what does your funnel look like? So I'm going to show you one of the ways that Sociamonials gives you more insight into what social media is really doing for your bottom line. So this is the overview chart. You can filter this a number of different ways, but as you can see, this just kind of breaks out what is doing what for your business. So let's start with, this is referred visits, but what I can do is actually click on revenue. And since you have a revenue pixel placed on your e-commerce store, if you are e-commerce, it's feeding that revenue back into Sociamonials. And I'll be showing you that pixel in just a minute, how to create those and how to place those. If you're B2B, I'm sure you have a number of funnel entry points. You need to be putting these pixels in every one of those entry points so you can get a full funnel view of what's working for your business. So you'll notice here, now that I selected revenue, I can see from all the networks here, Twitter is bringing in 50% of the revenue. emails bringing in 5%, and that's all the emails that are generated from Sociamonials because we are a complete autoresponder tool. 15% from LinkedIn. This is valuable information. If I'm going to go out and spend $1,000 next month on social ads, it very much helps me to know where is the revenue coming from all of these different networks. Same thing with source. I can see that campaigns are really driving, the lion's share of my revenue. So why am I spending so much time on social publishing when maybe I should shift that, give more emphasis to campaigns? Each of the different campaign types are mentioned here. Clearly, the referral sweepstakes is driving the most revenue. Even team members, you can see how each of the different team members are doing and driving revenue for your business. And the different media types really help you drill down on what kinds of social media posts you should be putting out there. In this one, clearly, it's text versus photo and video. Keep in mind, this is a demo test account, and there's a lot of garbage in here. Don't look at this as any kind of benchmark because your company will look different. And that's really the point here, isn't it? A lot of people will go to webinars and try to find that magic mix. What is the standard? When should I be posting to Twitter? So you'll look for a blog post on that. It's completely different for every business. And we know that better than anyone because we're one of the only social media tools that actually generates a separate shortened link for each network. Even if you send one post across Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, we're going to generate 4 different shortened URLs with all the tracking attached to it. So even if it gets shared a bunch of times and engaged with in different places, we're going to be able to report back to you on what happened for each one of those networks. And that data and insight is going to be baked right into recommendations, which we'll get to in a minute as well. So that's the reporting. What I want to do, this is a bit of a buzzkill, but it's extremely important. If we go into account preferences, there's a lot of people on this webinar that are already owners of codes. So just to really encourage you guys to scroll down a bit. A lot of you have already added your social accounts. There's a lot more on this account preferences page. When you're setting up your account, be sure to confirm your moderation settings, add your analytics integration to the end, because every single link that Sociamonials shares, campaign, share buttons, social media posts, it's going to add these UTM parameters to the end. And if you're using Crazy Egg or something else, you're going to want to add those parameters as well. Conversion tracking codes, be sure you place your lead conversion pixel. Just grab this and paste it anywhere on the page. It's an invisible 1 by 1 pixel, doesn't add to your loading time or anything like that. And this will start feeding information back to Sociamonials on when the best times are to post and run campaigns and everything else. There's also a shopping cart confirmation page pixel, and this is where you would replace the revenue amount here with the parameter that your e-commerce provider gives you. That way we're learning about when is the revenue coming in for each one of your networks. Now, custom tracking events, this is where things get exciting. If you're an e-commerce or if you're a B2B company, for example, you want to know when your free trial funnel is getting filled, because free trials convert better than most other signups. So you can actually create a free trial pixel and create the settings down here, and it will give you a pixel. So now the free trial, not only do I have that analytics coming back in, but also I can select free trial now as a goal for my referral rewards, my referral sweepstakes, my video testimonial campaigns where I want to encourage people to share it. And if anybody clicks through and takes a trial, then you get a $5 gift card. We can handle all that, and all you had to do is place 1 pixel. Now it's available as a goal. So I'm just encouraging everybody to go through and do that. Okay, kind of like a public service announcement there. I'm going to get into the good stuff. We have a social media publisher. We also have a campaign. I'm going to jump into the publish feature and start here, because a lot of you are posting every day to social media, and we get lots of questions like, how are you guys better than Social Bee, or how are you better than Promo Republic? And they're all really good tools. Buffer is great as well, Hootsuite, all of the social publishing tools. I guess the point that I want to make here is that tools like that, and even our publisher, are becoming less and less relevant. And that's really hard to say and probably harder to hear. But you guys all know that ever since Facebook introduced the algorithm, that EdgeRank algorithm, the engagement and the reach of your social posts for the clients that you serve or for your own Facebook page, they're going down. You know, we're lucky as marketers if 1 or 2% of the people that are following us actually see the posts that we make on our business page in Facebook. And that's a real shame. It used to be much, much higher than that. So it's tougher to reach an audience. There's a couple ways that you can improve that, though. The reach of an individual who shares information on Facebook is actually still relatively high. Now, they're reaching their friends, their connections, their family members. Because they engage with them regularly, that's going to help. Also, if they're engaging with your fan page, it's much, much higher engagement than 1 or 2%. I'm just speaking in averages here. But the question as marketers we need to ask ourselves is, like, what can we do to engage our audience more? You know, we can't afford to be boosting every single post we put out there to get the reach that we need. Your client probably can't afford, you know, the small retailer on the corner can't afford $1,000 a month to be promoting all of these different posts to reach every nook and cranny of his market. It just doesn't work. So what can we do to get back to the days where organic reach was a real thing and actually drove results for our company? So what we've done is we've created social media campaigns that make a very engaging branded experience that you can plug straight into not only pages of your website, but also into your social feeds. And all of these campaigns, every one of the campaigns we do, except for the coupon code with the reveal a discount, everyone except for that one encourages social sharing and has some sort of incentive. There's a number of different ways of incentivizing people so it doesn't get boring and you can keep going back to them and encouraging them to share more and more. They're sharing user-generated content. That is the gold standard. If you can get them to submit photos of themselves, videos of themselves, they will want to share those with friends and family. And trust me, those friends and family will click back, go to your pages, go to your feeds. They'll vote on these things. There's going to be a lot more engagement once you bring that user-generated content in. So that's one of the ways we've made it a little better for organic reach. Another way is, you know, we've just made a smarter publishing tool. We have a very similar publishing tool to, I don't know if you've heard of Edgar, Meet Edgar. They've got a very good tool. Also, Smarter Cues does a very good job. So we've kind of taken that model and just taken it up a notch. You know, the biggest thing that we do a little better than a lot of the people is our queue and re-queue feature is just a little more sophisticated. And a lot of that is just because we have more data available, because we're sharing separate links for every single post. We just have a lot more insight than a lot of the tools have on what's working for the different networks. So I just clicked over to the schedule. I automatically put a schedule in your new account for you. So that is kind of a best practices schedule to start with. I encourage you when you first start, post at random times, you know, let the system learn over time, you know, at least until you hit maybe 20 social posts and then give it a few days. And then it'll be time for you to go in and look at some of the recommendations, and I'll show you how to do that. But what this schedule is, this is a weekly schedule of when your queues and your re-queues will go out. So think of queues as like separate lines, because we have category specific queues. So a lot of you know Buffer. They've got a very good queue feature, but what we've done is instead of just having that one queue, there are multiple queues. So you might have people that shop at different times during the day. So you want to do your promotions during those times or those days of the week. You might have people that read your blog at different times of the day, maybe on their way into work on the subway. You know, so knowing those analytics really helps, and having the ability to split them out is very helpful. So what you'll want to do is go into your schedule once you've got some data in here and click on the tactical overlay. What this is going to do is lay over your schedule when the most optimal times are for each of the metrics. So right now I'm ranking this by clicks. So the darker ones are the best. So for clicks, you know, any kind of campaign or a type of post that relies on clicks, you'll want to move that in here. So I'm going to move this up here, and that'll reschedule all my queues to go out at this time. So I'm going to open one. Let's create another one for special offers here. If I click anywhere on the schedule, it's going to pull up my categories. So these are all of the different categories that will go out at this time. I can make it so these don't go out, only special offers go out. So special offers at 3:30 a.m. and I only like to run special offers through Facebook and Instagram. I don't promote special offers on LinkedIn. So I've got Facebook and Instagram selected. Okay, so here's my special offer scheduled item. Now when I go back to posting, I'll be able to post something. So when I post something and I choose a category of promotion, that's going to be where it goes out. If I have 20 different posts that I've filled my queue with, it's going to go out, the next one in the line that is for the promotional category will go out at that time. If I have a couple of scheduled items, it will go out twice a week. So you can determine how frequently these things go out by spending some time with your schedule. So what I'm going to do is just show you how the publisher works. So there's a couple ways you can do this. You can actually put the URL right in line with your post just to save you time. What it'll do is automatically go out to Ferrari, scrub it, bring in whatever it can, and add that link to the first position here. And it also adds it as an attachment. So what I can do at this point, if I don't like what they chose here, I can change the image. I can change anything over in this area. So I'm also going to bring in my Instagram as well. So the first thing I might want to do is just make sure I've got all the images that I want to choose. If this image is fine, I don't need to rotate it or anything like that. I'm fine. I can move on. I want to show you the attached media. Some of you will enter URLs where it actually doesn't look quite as nice as this. So what you can do is there will be several on the page. Like let's say it pulls in 3 different images from that page. You'll be able to scroll. There was only 1 image on this Ferrari page. So what you can do is actually attach the media in your Facebook post. And what this does is convert the post from a link type to a photo type. So now your message will actually contain the URL and the image will show up large in your newsfeed. So you can do the same thing for Twitter as well if you want to include a photo in your tweet. So now I can go in here and just change it. Like let's say I want to say at the end of this, like this, because that's the way that people say things in Facebook. But on LinkedIn, they say things a little different. So I can customize this to say, share with colleagues. Same thing with Twitter. I might do a hashtag in Twitter. You get the point. So you can also do the same thing in Instagram. I'm going to move on because I want to get to the fun stuff, the campaigns. Okay, so I'm going to choose special offers like I mentioned before, and then I would simply add this to the queue. You can have it email you, and you can have it re-queue. And what will happen at that point is it will not only send it at the first available queue, but it will also keep sending it until I tell it to stop. There's several ways I can do this. I can make it stop after 6 re-queues. I can make it stop at a specific date. And there's multiple ways I can post this. Instead of the queue, I can publish it now. I can schedule it for a very specific time. I can also schedule it for an optimal time. And what it's doing here is it's showing me each one of the social networks and when the optimal time is to post for this particular post. Because believe me, people don't respond the same time on Facebook as they might on Twitter. They use them in different settings. So that is our publisher. Of course, you've got a sent folder. You can see all of the previous posts. We archive everything. You can save things as draft. And in your queue, you can see what's coming up. I'm going to jump into campaigns, though, because this is really what sets us apart. So this is a list of all of the campaigns that I've created in this test account, but I'm going to jump over and create a new one. Okay, so here's a list of all the templates we currently have, and we're always adding new ones. And what I want to mention to you guys is every one of these templates is also available as a design template that you can apply to any campaign in the future. So while there is functionality behind these pre-built templates, these are complete campaigns. What I encourage you to do is, there's a good chance you're going to like the look and feel of one of these, but you're going to like the functionality of the other one. So for example, let's say I want to do a referral sweepstakes. I'm going to filter this because there's just a lot to go through. So I'm going to say referral sweepstakes. Okay, so now I only have 6 to choose from. I am going to use this template, the limited entry giveaway. And what the system will do, it's going to go out and based on your account settings, it's going to build you a complete campaign, practically ready to launch. But what I want to do is go and make some tweaks because I don't like the look of this one. What I'm going to do is go in and import a different design template. So what I'm doing is I'm going to import all the style settings. I'm also going to import the content blocks. And what content blocks are with Sociamonials is, there's certain areas where when you hover over it, you can make changes. Just click in here. It's just like any other HTML editor. And you'll get to know the content blocks very well. We've got, for example, on this one, we've got one above the form. We've got one below the form. So right here, we could say, for example, we don't spam. And there's also a footer content block as well. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to select a template. I'm going to go find the recipe. I like the look of the recipe contest template. So when I select this, I'm going to confirm, and it's going to overwrite all of my design settings. Okay, so now let's replace the logo with our own. I'm going to click to the right of it and backspace to delete over it. And I'm going to upload a quick image. I'm going to hyperlink it to my website. Now, if you click on that logo, it is going to take you to my homepage. Okay, good. That looks fine. I'm going to look it over. Things look good. Okay, so now that I've got the design the way I like, I want to go and show you some settings and show you how to set it up properly. And then we might hop in here if there's time and do some more design updates so I could show you how the editor works. So the settings is the step where all of the details of the campaign come in. So the first thing I want to show you is for a sweepstakes, it's going to allow you to require a video testimonial submission with the entry. This is a great way if you're looking to get a lot of your video testimonials quickly, you can put an incentive on sharing a video testimonial. Put them into an entry for a $200 prize or something like that. And they can earn additional entries just by doing things like sharing. And I'll show you that in a minute, how you can set that up. I'm not going to do the video testimonial for this campaign. So we're going to collect entries. And I want to add a rule. So this is where my rules go. So you can type in your complete rules for your particular sweepstakes, and it's going to add a link for all of those rules. That way Sociamonials is hosting them, and it will display them on request. Submission form. Now there's a default submission form, but what I want to do is tweak this a little bit. So right now it's only pulling in email first and last, but I also want to know. So what you're seeing up here, these are other fields that I've already created. You can reuse those, or you can create new ones. You can create dates, checkboxes. What I'm going to do is take a text input and drag it over here after the last name. And I'm going to say, I want to know your Sociamonials username. So now it will prompt for that. I also want to know if you're an agency or, what kind of a business are you? If I'm going to collect a lead, I want to know what the value of this lead is. So I'm just going to say company type in the label. And from here, I'm going to pick a label for each option in the dropdown. So I'll say agency. And the value, what that is, this is what is going to go in the database. So when this links over to MailChimp or whatever your integration is, or if you're just going to download the final results as a CSV file and upload it to your ESP, then this is the data value that will go up to your ESP, your email service provider. So I might also say e-commerce. You can add as many options as you want. I'll just say B2B. And then other. Okay, let's go ahead and have a preview and see how it looks. Okay, everything looks good. Sociamonials username is a required field. I'm going to exit the preview and let's move on. I'm going to save this. First, you need to come up with a new name because default, you can't overwrite that. So let's call this Sweeps 2. Great, so now I've got my custom form. Now let's pick our list integration. I'm going to go with MailChimp, and since I've already integrated this, it's going to pull in all of my different lists from that account. So Sociamonials tests. And if you need to integrate, just go to Account, Integrations. And that's where you would map all of your fields. So all of those custom form fields I just created, you'll need to map those to something over in the MailChimp list, just so you're not doing a lot of manual work. Okay, email notifications. Our system is going to have an autoresponder that sends out these emails on your behalf. The delivery rate is better in Sociamonials than any of the email service providers, and the reason for that is we use a service that is only used for notifications, not for any kind of marketing purposes. So we get deliverability in usually 1 second or less. So I encourage you to go ahead and use our autoresponder. You can still use the integration and send the data over to your email service provider, maybe your CRM, but it's fine to just have the initial email sent from us that just thanks them for entering. So this particular type of campaign sends them an email if you want when they first submit their entry. So this is form submission, thank you. Let's go in and edit this and make sure it looks the way we want. Thank you. It's got first name. This looks good. But I want to personalize the subject line to get a better open rate. So let's see. I'm going to put in the first name here. Okay, so since this is a sweepstakes, I'm also going to add, here is your custom link. They will also have an opportunity to get their custom link at the time of submission, but I'm also going to send this by email. So if they think of someone later they want to share it with, they can do that. So tracked link to share, great. It's going to drop that in. Their personal, individual tracked link will be there. Terrific. So it's also going to send me an internal notification letting me know that somebody submitted, and it's going to insert all of the data fields. That looks good. And the third email is going to be once we approve their submission. So now let's get to the good stuff. So these are the sweepstakes options. These are basically ways that they can win. So I'm going to set the winner selection frequency to once per campaign, but I can also have it so the system will generate weekly winners, and it can either notify them directly, but I don't recommend that. We let it notify you of the winner and let you pick it out. That way, if fraud slips by, and I'll show you if we have time, there are easy ways to kind of pick out the fraud with Sociamonials because we've got a lot of tools built in to filter that stuff out. So you can have the winner selected once per week, per day, every month, there's just a lot of different options. I'm just going to go with once per campaign. The start date looks fine. End date, all of our templates use 2099, just so you can go in and change that. So I'm going to change the end date to, you can just type over that. You don't have to use the calendar selector. 314. I'm going to use standard duplicate blocking. That's what I recommend for you. Maximum allowed entries. This is basically per entry period. I'm going to allow people to earn up to 10 entries, and then it will cut them off. So how to earn entries. If you want to get a lot of leads, you would have it set to submit sweepstakes form, or referred visitors submit sweepstakes form to earn them entries. Just because it's a great way, kind of a viral loop where they share, other people come in, they submit, they share. But in this case, I'd like to drive some free trials because our software does very well in converting free trials to paid subscriptions. So instead of doing this, I'm going to go a different route. Keep in mind, I'm also going to leave this checked. This will give them one entry just simply for submitting that sweepstakes form. So even if they don't share, they have a chance of winning. But what I'm going to do is, remember we added that free trial pixel? So now I've got that custom goal. I'm going to check that. And I'm going to give 3 entries every time a referred free trial comes in. I'm also going to create an entry bonus code, and I'll give them 2 for this. So let's create multiple codes, because what my plan is here, I'm going to go kind of hide these codes in my social feeds, like maybe go post one to Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, and tell people by email or by other methods, hey, go and find the hidden code, and you'll get to unlock 2 more per social network. It's a way to kind of get people to your social feeds, hopefully get them to engage with you out there. So I'm going to create a code called FB2, Facebook, maybe Insta 5, and LI8 for LinkedIn. Now, if anybody enters any of these codes, it will unlock 2 separate entries. So continuing on, I'm going to go back to the design stage. So let's call this a free trial referral. Let's just say this is on the fly. This is horrible copy. Right? We would want to change the recipe and other things, but for this, I can just as easily go through and we actually don't need this step, so I'm going to pull it out. Just a simple HTML editor is all this is. You can also embed YouTube videos and images. You can add links. So here's the form that we created. Remember the Sociamonials username. And down here, I'm going to say we don't spam. Okay. So this is the entry page. What I can also do is go to the thank you screen. So after people submit, this is what they're going to see. There's another content block back here. So I'm going to say thank you first, and whatever name they put in the first step, it's going to echo back to them, just so they know, okay, these guys know me. They really do have my entry. So I'm going to say, please share to all social networks below to increase your chances of winning. So all people have to do here is enter something, and then they can, without even leaving the campaign, they can share with all of these different networks. So this looks good to me. I don't like the background because Fruit really has little to do with my company unless I do a massive pivot in the future. But I'm going to say edit page background. When you have a header that goes all the way across like this, our templates have used a background technique to get that image in there. So right now it's set as an image background. So I'm going to change that. And this is my asset library. We give you guys an asset library with unlimited storage. All of these folders are available to you. So you can store your fan gates, your fan page tabs, your share buttons, headers, and things like that. So I'm going to go to free stock images. So I'm going to click here, and I can search a couple different databases. I'm going to look for, let's see, design. So just enter a keyword, and it's going to go out and pull in some design images. This one actually looks good. I can download this and then, turn it into a meme or, add some text overlay or some treatment, but this looks fine. I'm just going to select it. So now you can see the background is the new image I selected. So that looks fine. I'm now going to jump into the header area and change this. So the header area is this entire section that I've highlighted here. That white part, I'm going to go a little darker on the white. So I'm going to ease up the opacity on it. That looks good. I'm not going to show an outline. So this looks fine to me. So I'm going to close the header area. You can change your buttons. You can change your forms. Let's go back to the home screen. So the fields are a little bit narrow. So watch what happens when I change the form field height. As you can see, they get a little bit larger. So you shouldn't need to use any CSS to make changes, but you can change the background on hover cover and things like that. There's virtually no limit. In the advanced settings, I want to show you this real quick. Sumolings all got remove Sociamonials branding. Just check this box, and it will remove the Sociamonials branding at the bottom of your campaign. Also, for all of you CSS gurus, go ahead and enter CSS. All of our elements have different names, so you can go in and hide things very easily. You can change things using custom CSS, no problem. Also, in the advanced settings, you can change your SEO tags. You can change the page title, description, and SEO keywords.
Hey guys, can you hear me? I'm not quite sure what happened to Craig. Let me know if you can hear me. Hey guys, let's see. I see your, Sean is saying not juicy. Awesome, you guys can hear me, great. Yeah, I'm not sure what happened to Craig. Let's just see, maybe he had some internet issues. Okay, good, I'm glad y'all can hear me. Let me see if he has Slacked me. We were just talking about internet connectivity before we went live, and he said he was good to go. So let's just, let's wait a second or two. And then we'll see if Craig can get back on. Let's see. I'm going to send him a message, guys. I hope you're enjoying this, because when I did a demo with Sociamonials, I was very impressed that it does so many things. I'm sure you've seen different softwares that just schedule posts or do the contests and giveaways. So I was excited about this one, and so are you, because there was a lot of people signed up for it. Let's see. All right, we have lots of questions to answer at the end of it. All right, looks like Craig is logging back on, guys. RB, yes, there will be a replay. Chad, what's for lunch? You know what's for lunch? A protein shake. I got to go to the gym at lunch, and then when I get back, I'll have a protein shake. What's for lunch with you guys? Is it lunchtime where you are? I know some of you are like getting ready for bed. Chad, I was not on The Bachelor. My sister was, though. My sister was the Bachelorette a few years ago. You must have learned that on Instagram, if I had to guess. All right, let's see. Deborah's saying it's 9:30 here. Yeah, so it's past lunch. Jeff's having sushi. Clarence, it's 1:30 a.m. It's time for bed. I appreciate you logging in, though, and continuing to watch. Let's see what is happening. It looked like Craig was trying to log back in. Chad, I am not signing up. I am happily married with children, so I'm a little past the age demographic for that TV show at this point. Lunch equals coffee and bad decisions. Sean, it's like the story of my life. I can relate. 8 a.m. Lafik, 14:40. Christian, now you're going to make me do math. Us Americans don't use military time. Let's see, that's 2:40 your time? So it's a little past lunch for you. You guys have lots of questions, and I'm hoping that Craig can log back on. I'm going to shoot him a message here. Cindy, that's funny. Chad, how many tattoos do I have? Is this turning into like interrogation? I'm getting a little worried. Yeah, I definitely have over 17. Lots and lots of them. You get one and then you just keep wanting more, right? And that's how it goes. Darcy, I think you're right. Webinar Jam is jammed, but you guys can hear me. So that's the good news. I thought in the beginning that maybe my internet had gone out and then I was panicking. But then all of you guys made me feel better by saying you also couldn't see it. So let's see. We'll wait a few more minutes here. And I apologize because, again, this is a really great tool. And so many of you had great questions, and I wanted to get to those questions. Yes, AppSumo actually did a deal on Easy Webinar during Black Friday. So we haven't run a deal on Webinar Jam, but we did do Easy Webinar late last year. Emma, you know what? You're not the first one to recommend that. Emma's asking if we could use another webinar system so you could fast forward and rewind the replays. And I know that's very frustrating. I think for now, we're going to start uploading the, maybe not starting today, unfortunately, but in the near future, we're just going to start uploading the webinar replays right to YouTube. So that way you can have them in your YouTube feed, get notified when they're uploaded, and then rewind and fast forward as you need to. George is asking how many deals come on AppSumo. I would say between 1 and 3 a week, sometimes less, sometimes more, but usually between 1 and 3 deals a week. We have them in the queue a few months in advance. So that's the good news. That's why you should always be checking AppSumo every day. All right, let's see. All right. Let's see. Okay. It says Craig says, I'm here, how to get back in. All right, so I think we've got some promise, guys. Hang tight while I respond to him. Craig, are you here? Chad, I'm horrible at push-ups. It's my worst exercise. Craig.
Hey.
Hey, I was entertaining them with lots of questions, lots of random questions. I'm happy you're back, though.
Well, good. Sorry about that. I don't know what happened. Where did we leave off? I was just about done, I think.
I think you were just about done. These guys have a lot of questions, so maybe if you just want to
jump into it.
You want to jump into the questions? Sure.
Absolutely.
Okay, I'll turn my camera on. There we go. And then I'll ask you some of these questions. All right. We have lots of questions about different integrations, so maybe we should start there.
Okay.
And maybe I think the next 3 that I'm going to talk to you about are more about pixels, like do the pixels work with ClickFunnels, Kartra, and WooCommerce?
Yes.
Great. And are there integrations with Zapier and ActiveCampaign?
Not yet, but those are getting the most votes on our Trello board. I encourage everybody to go to the Trello board. There are links to it on the deal page and vote for it. And we just hired a new or an additional full-time developer who's going to be focusing only on all of these AppSumo requests because there are lots of great ones coming in. And it's somebody who's done work for us before, so they're familiar with the platform and hopefully will get up and running very quickly. Awesome.
All the Sumolings with all of their recommendations, and now here you go, have to hire new people. It's not a bad thing.
Yeah, it's a good problem to have.
Of course. So we have a question. Do you have a WordPress integration?
There's no integration, but it does work with your WordPress site.
Great.
There's no plugin, but the pixels work great. You can embed our campaigns on your WordPress site. So yes, that will work well.
All right. And Vijay is asking, it says, you mentioned you can create a unique short link for each post, or Sociamonials creates a unique short link for each post. Can you set up a custom short domain?
Not at this time. I would recommend that as a feature. The problem with that is we do a really great job with our shortened links. We even have the option to go in after a post has gone out. Like, let's say that you accidentally, imagine if you're an agency and you post the wrong link for your client. You can actually go in 2 days later even, and change that link and correct it to redirect to the correct place, even if it's been shared 1,000 times on Twitter. So because we're in control of our shortener, we can do a lot of cool things with it. And so anyway, I encourage you to use ours, but I understand that there are reasons. We don't have any issues with our link shorteners, like some people are concerned about them, but Google loves our shorteners.
Yeah, that's a really cool feature, being able to change the destination URL after the fact.
Yes.
Yeah, so
I've used that myself.
Yeah, no, I remember you showing me that in the demo, and I thought that is so cool. So yeah, that's a great feature and a great reason to use the Sociamonial short link. So Ricardo's asking, is there a white label for agencies?
Hey, Ricardo. So the white label for agencies, there is the remove Sociamonials branding. I don't know if it cut out before I showed you how to do that, but if you go in the advanced tab, that's where you would add things like your custom CSS, but there's also a checkbox in there to remove our branding. So the only additional white labeling that you could do is when people share using Sociamonials, only on Twitter and LinkedIn, there are custom apps that you can go out to Twitter and LinkedIn and build, and we'll actually use those apps instead of our own. And the only difference is when your clients are sharing, there's a step in the authentication or the sharing process where it will ask them, Sociamonials wants access to the following, your feed. In order to post this, it will say, your client or whatever it is. And unfortunately, that's only available on the enterprise plan. But at least you get to remove that. The campaign won't show anything about Sociamonials. They won't have a clue.
Awesome. So Rob is asking, when it comes to managing multiple clients, would you recommend combining a few codes into one account or creating a few separate accounts?
That's a really good question, and we do get that a lot. So we are working hard to create some more agency features within like a single account, but we still recommend that you have a separate one for each client. And we're not just doing that to make money. It actually clutters it up when we have a bunch of accounts versus stacking with one as far as our database. But the reason we recommend it is you just watched a demonstration of how we've got all of the account preferences where you can set up custom things for your particular brand. And some of those things you won't be able to use if you combine, let's say, 10 different clients. You'll still be able to use it like you could some of the other social platforms that are for agencies, but some of those really deep, deep settings you won't be able to use. For example, when we've got a really great article in our knowledge base, there's links to that in the on the deal page if you scroll down and look at the comments. But one of the big ones is you'll want to create separate custom links for each client. If there's a custom page that they have, you could share, if you create a free trial custom link, you could share that amongst different clients. But if you create a referral sweepstakes, just know that if you have one person that goes to 2 of your clients, it could happen. It's a small world. It's going to trigger in both places because they're based on a per account basis. So I wouldn't run too many referral sweepstakes at the same time for 2 different clients that have the same goal. Just make sure if you do it, you set a different custom tracking pixel for each one of those clients. So there are ways around it. It's just trickier. And when you're doing your social publishing, I would say use our category feature. Create a category for each one of your clients. And when you go back to your schedule, just use those categories, for client 1, for example, create a schedule for them and only include the category for client 1. And it'll clutter up your schedule a little bit, but again, it would work. So yeah, there's details on how you can get it to work with just a single account. I encourage you to go and read that and just make the best decision for how you work with your clients. Usually it's going to work somewhere in the middle where you might have 4 easy clients where just use one account for that. But you might have a couple of really demanding ones where they've got really custom workflows and you want to give them access to the platform where they can go in and view reports. Well, if you do that, they're going to be able to see your other clients' reports too. So you need to be smart about it. And those people, you might want to pass along a little technology fee and say, well, if you want to be able to look at live dashboards, it's going to cost you an extra, $100 or something like that. So hopefully you can work something like that into your pricing package with your clients.
Awesome. Those are great tips. I know we have Lots of agency owners there, so that was good. So the next few questions I have are all about the scheduler. We have people who would like to know, does it post to Facebook groups, Instagram, and Pinterest?
Okay, it does not post to Facebook groups yet, but that's getting a lot of votes, and it doesn't post to Pinterest. We already programmed in publishing to Pinterest. We built Pinterest into all of our campaigns. It already works with share buttons, Pinterest, so you can share photos, but they haven't approved us yet. So if any of you out there know anyone with Pinterest who can get us approved, I think now that we have so many users coming in, it's going to change things. Before we had just, a smaller number of larger clients. That's how we've been for the past few years. Now that we've got a whole bunch of people out there and your community is so great and they're so vocal, I think that they're going to take notice, and I'm hoping we're going to get approved. And I think we could go live within like a week of that, because everything's just commented out in our code, ready to go live. So, but as for Facebook groups, we already have the API. We just need to, we never went out and got the approval for that because our clients had no use of Facebook groups. We're dealing with a lot of e-commerce and B2B. So keep voting on that on the Trello board, and we'll, hopefully add that as well. Instagram, yes, we do post to Instagram. Just know that you're going to need to download our free app. It's available on the App Store over at iOS and Google Play. So the way it works is you can schedule Instagram, any of the accounts, just like you normally would. At the time of that scheduled posting, you're going to get an alert on your phone, and it's going to push that image into your phone with the correct message, the correct links. All the tracking is already in there. So all you need to do is add any filters that you want to add to your image and then post it.
And I would say that's how most Instagram apps are working. So that's right. It's in the industry standard.
It is, but we're working on direct integration. Again, we're not approved yet. Once we are, then we'll go direct to Instagram and ditch the app.
Okay, good. James is asking, does Sociamonials work with Facebook chatbots?
Is he still online where he can clarify what part of the chatbot he wants to use? Because there's, if he wants his chatbot to say, engage someone by like, go over here and, submit to this form, like, here's a coupon, go and, submit to this coupon form and we'll send you and your friends a coupon to social media. Yes, absolutely. We'll give you a link that you can put in your chatbot. But if you want some sort of an integration where, the data from your Sociamonials campaign gets pushed into your Facebook bot somehow, I would just need clarification on that, because we don't do that. But you could certainly market your campaigns using your Facebook bot. You can't publish directly to Facebook bots using Sociamonials either. I don't think that's the thing. I don't think there's an API for that yet, but I know bots are popular. So, but if you still have a question, go ahead and submit it to us. Mona is answering questions, and she's also manning the chat box as soon as this webinar ends.
Awesome. So Ricardo had a question about the emails from Sociamonials. Are those sent from Sociamonials, or will they appear as if they're sent from his business?
They are. Right now, we just integrated. We finally got approved with that vendor that does like near 100% deliverability, and it's less than a second. It's a company called Postmark. So initially, to get in there, we had to make it send from and the reply to notifications at sociamonials.com. So right now, that's how it goes. Within the next few days, I'm hoping it's going to change where you're going to be able to have your reply to be your company. And it already has your name, of course. It's not going to say Sociamonials as the name. It'll have your company name there, and even the reply to will be, but the actual sender, the one that's kind of deeper in, if they look at their Gmail details, the sender will always be notifications at sociamonials.com, because that's how our DKIM, our SPF are set up. In the future, there might be some kind of SMTP integration where we allow you to put your custom SMTP server in. As long as you've got good deliverability, you'd want to do that. But that's not a feature that we have live yet.
Okay. And Michael is asking, with stacked codes, is there any way to increase the number of users?
Yeah, we've heard that request a lot. Users is really the only thing that we haven't given on. We've given quite a bit. as far as like additional entries, and there's quite a few. We're very generous on the social accounts that you can connect. But for the users, if you're doing more than 3 users, you're either a larger marketing team for an end user client, versus an agency, or you're an agency that's trying to use it for a number of different clients and give them a different seat in each one. So we've given it a lot of thought, and we feel like that's more of an enterprise feature, and that's like the one remaining thing that is in our enterprise account. So I'm so sorry, at this time it's still no, but we're still listening to feedback.
Awesome. Greg would like to know, are there any training videos available within the Sociamonials dashboard or anywhere?
Yes, there are. If you go to the help dropdown in the top navigation, there's a video tutorials link where you can go through. It's basically just one large Wistia video. It's like an hour and 20 minutes long, but there are links where you could skip the stuff that you don't care about. Like if you want to, if you're just crunching away on a campaign and you want to know, how to change the design, we've got a whole section in there on how to use the design editor. I go through the whole thing so you can skip right to it.
Awesome. And Michael would like to know, is there a roadmap or a public roadmap to look at?
We don't have that yet. All we posted is the Trello board, which does have the approved recommendations. So the reason we didn't add our roadmap is that's kind of going out the window. I mean, we had a lot of things we were planning on doing, yes, but I kind of value the feedback from the community more than things that we thought would be great. It's because that's gotten us this far, and I think the platform is great. But there are things, there are probably features, that you'll discover 2 years later. There are just amazing things within the platform, but they're kind of esoteric, and I want to hit the sweet spot. So let's create a new roadmap together. And as we approve things that are getting voted on, I'll move that to the 3rd column so you can see which things are kind of guarantees, so you know that that's coming.
Awesome. I love that. All right. So we are just coming up on time right here. And I think, again, Mona has done a great job at answering a lot of the questions in the chat box. So why don't you let these guys know where they can reach out to you or your team if they have any further questions after this webinar? Great.
Yeah, I think the best place to reach out to us is just go to our homepage, or even when you're logged into the software, at the bottom right, you'll see the live chat. We do have a few missed chats, but we're trying to get to every single live chat that comes in. If for whatever reason we don't get to it in time, then leave a message, and please be patient. There's just a lot of inquiries coming in right now, and we want to get to every single one of them. It just doesn't happen immediately, but that's really the best place. If there's a support issue, go ahead and create a ticket right away. If you're within the software, just go to the help dropdown again, and this time go to support and click the add a request. And then that'll create a ticket that gets tracked, and our development team gets folded in. And that's the quickest way to get, like, if you have a bug that you discover, notify us right away in that ticket, and we'll let you know as soon as it's fixed. It used to be we fix bugs overnight every time. But, there's little things that people are finding now that we have such a high volume of people looking at all the nooks and crannies. And also, migrated into a big, huge server in the cloud before we launched to accommodate all the new users, and that's been actually going really well. Lots of room to grow, which is fantastic. But every time you move a server, there's, it's like we forgot to, this is a solid URL versus making it relative, little things like that. But the community's been very vocal about that, and we've tried to turn those around next day whenever possible.
Awesome. Craig, I love how you said, let's build this roadmap together. I really love that you are taking their recommendations and then folding it into your product. And I hope you guys are just as appreciative, because you get to be part of making this product even better. So thank you so much for tuning into this demo and webinar. I will be sending out the replay later today, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.